Good afternoon, Year 6, and welcome back to our 5th lesson in outdoor learning this half term, all about adaptations. Whilst I am sharing my screen, I want you to have a quick think and try and remind yourselves of what the activity was last week. Fantastic. So last week we were discussing that it's not only animals that adapt to their environment, it's also plants. And we were looking at some key features of plants in a rainforest, which we know is very wet and very hot. And these were some of the adaptations that these plants in the rainforest had. Using the pictures and the words on the left, I am going to give you 20 seconds just to have a quick think, trying to remind yourself what some of these adaptations were. Well done, Year 6. So, as well as some of these adaptations, so for example, the pitcher plant, which captures its prey, ensuring that they fall down and never get out again, to the buttress roots, which ensure that trees that are going incredibly tall still are secure, and the mangroves that enable plants to grow in very wet, salty conditions. There are also some other adaptations that I would like us to think about today. And you might have seen leaves with what seems like a waxy coating on them. And this acts like a barrier from extreme sunlight. And the wax also reduces water loss through the leaf's pores. So obviously plants that are in very hot, dry climates would perhaps have a waxy coating on their leaves to enable them to adapt to that situation. Sharp thorns on the stem of plants help to deter predators from eating them. And also those leaves that are large and flat, they might help a plant to gather as much sunlight as possible, particularly if they are living in shady conditions. So that might have been the case for quite a lot of plants in the rainforest, as we know that those that are living under the shade of incredibly tall trees and plants will not get very much sunlight. So today what I would like you to do is to design your own perfect plant. So I would like you to choose one or more of the challenging climates, which are going to be listed below in a minute, and design a plant that is perfectly adapted to survive in that environment. I would like you to draw a picture of that plant, label it, and explain the key features. So, one of your challenging climates for your plants could be a severe lack of water. One can be that your plant might live in a very hot condition, very shady. It could be in bright sunshine. And I'd like you to choose one or more of these conditions to create your own perfect plant. And this is going to be a plant that you design yourself. It doesn't need to exist in real life. You are using your creative mind to create your own imaginary plant. So the first thing I would like you to do is think about where your plant is designed to live in. And in order to help you to think about this, You could look out your window, go outside, look at any plants inside your home for any plant adaptations, or revisit what we looked at last week. So using what is around you to try and think about which climate would I like my plant to live in. Then you need to decide which challenging climate your plant is going to live in. Then you need to design your plant, and you need to label and explain its key features. So, just to show you, I've got this plant here. Some of you might recognise it as an aloe vera plant. And these plants, their natural habitat are usually in very warm areas without very much water at all. And if you ever have seen an aloe vera, and if it's a healthy aloe vera, you can feel it's got very thick, waxy leaves. And the reason for that is that this aloe vera stores water inside its tissue. So inside these leaves, it is able to store a lot of water, making it quite thick and waxy. And it's also got some spikes to prevent predators from eating it. So there's a few things there. It stores water in its tissue, which makes it quite spongy. It's got waxy leaves, and we were talking before about how waxy leaves protects plants from extreme sunlight, and also helps it to not lose any water through its pores. And then it's also got some spikes along the edge there. So I think I might use some of these features to create my own plant, which lives in a hot, dry climate. And I'm going to show you now some of the things that I have designed. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see, I've got a tree here. Let me just go over the outline quickly in black pen. I would recommend when you are doing your drawings that you do so in pencil. I'm just doing it in pen so that you can see. I'm just going to do this one very quickly, as this is not actually my plant. And here's the soil. Okay, so my plant is living in a climate which is incredibly hot with a lack of water. So the first thing I thought about was roots, okay? Because in a really hot place, on the surface, there won't be any water at all. So plants will need to go pretty deep in order to find water. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to give my plant very deep roots, okay? So imagine this goes really deep into the ground. So that is one of the first things I am going to give my plant. I am then going to explain why. All right, so there's my roots. So I could put it next to it. You might want to do an explanation underneath. You might want to label it as an annotated diagram just for ease so that you can all see it. I am just going to put it next to it. So we've got deep roots. Okay, so I'm just going to put my plant. You might want to give your plant a name. I haven't thought of a name for my plant yet. My plant needs deep roots in order to get water underground. Full stop. Okay, so I've got deep roots, and I have explained why my plant needs deep roots in order to get to the water which is underground. I might even go further and do a second sentence and explain why they need to be deep, because the surface water in hot places often evaporates, meaning that the only water around is deep in the soil. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, I've got my stalk, is that I found as well in my house, I didn't find it, I know I've got it, so I've got a plant with incredibly prominent veins. Can you see those veins on this plant? Now, I have no idea why this plant has such prominent veins, but it made me think about the adaptation I could give to my plant, because I was thinking if it is a very, very hot place, my plant, I'm just going to do very big leaves, which we can think about why in a minute, but my plant might need some very prominent veins, and I was thinking the reason for this could be that when it's incredibly hot, the water is going to evaporate incredibly quickly. So maybe my plant needs lots of veins so that any water, as soon as it gets water, it can transport it to all the parts of the leaf, because plants need their veins to transport water and minerals. So as soon as it rains, those extra veins can quickly transport my water. So again, I'm going to put that it's got lots of veins, and I'm going to explain why my plant has got lots of veins, and I'm just going to say how it needs lots of veins in order to transport the water quickly before it evaporates. The other thing I'm going to give my plant, again, I'm just using black pen to show you more easily, but I would probably use different colours, coloured pencils and coloured pens to show this. But I'm going to give my plant a thick, waxy skin. Who can remember why plants in hot climates need a thick, waxy skin? Well done. So, often need a thick, waxy skin in order to protect the plant from intense sunlight, and also to ensure that it doesn't lose any water through its pores. So I will explain that over there. The other thing I was thinking was I might have my plant underneath a tree. Maybe it's a plant that has adapted to grow in the shade of other trees so that it can be protected from that intense sunlight and maybe more likely to keep its water. If I am putting it under a tree though, it's going to have less sunlight, and all plants need sunlight in order to photosynthesize. So I have also thought if it is going to be under the tree, it's going to need much flatter, wider leaves in order to capture as much sunlight as possible. So these are all the things that I have been thinking about. Obviously, my plant isn't complete. It's just got one leaf at the moment, and I haven't explained all the different things. I've only put 3 of them down. I haven't explained that I've got large leaves. I haven't explained that it's underneath the tree, but these are all things that I will do. Okay, fantastic, Year 6. I'm very much looking forward to seeing your work on Seesaw, and I will see you next week. Bye.